Hey, so before we continue on the rest of the big stories from the shows this week, what's up with Roxanne Perez, man?
Uh,
So it seems that there may be an actual thing going on here, right?
if there's not, then I don't know. I mean,
Now, I'm not saying there's an actual thing that she actually passed out. No, that is obviously not the case. But I'm saying there may actually be a medical issue that they're now making this storyline to get the belt off of her because they're taking the belt off of
well, they haven't announced that.
her. Right, but Shawn Michaels has announced I have to prepare for the
Right.
possibility, and they've started like a tournament,
For it to be in what, a ladder match, right? Or
something
something like
like
that.
that. But I think they're taking the belt off of her.
It's either that or she shows up last second. Like, I finally got cleared. I don't know, but like let me just say, the way they're doing this, I look, if I'm putting my tinfoil hat on here, okay, the way they're doing this, I think Shawn Michaels is an anti-vaxxer.
What do you
He's
mean?
got there's all these videos popping up on social media of people like passing out and things happening and people being like, "Oh, it's coincidence. I wonder if that person took the vaccine." And now all of a sudden we have Roxanne Perez passing out on WWE TV and a promo from a vignette from a doctor who's like, "We've run all the tests and we don't know what's wrong with her. We don't know what's wrong, but there's something wrong. We've run all the tests. Her blood work looks good. It's not this, it's not that. She has some type of mystery problem. We have to get to the bottom
So
of
we're
it."
taking the belt off her because of the COVID vaccine?
I'm just saying, look, there was a lot of people when the Damar Hamlin stuff happened that were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this and
Well,
that,"
especially
right?
because Damar Hamlin was like, I'm not going to get into what it was. Okay.
Right. So, and then that's become a thing of like young people, perfectly healthy people passing out, and the conspiracy theorists out there are,
All right.
trying to place blame. Now all of a sudden we have this storyline in NXT where the champion passes out. Okay, fine, but it's not from exhaustion. It's not from dehydration. It's not from anything. We have this expert doctor. He's run all these tests. We don't know
Definitely
what
an
it's
expert.
from.
Yeah.
We don't know what it's from. This is the story. The story is we don't know what it's from, but we got to get to the bottom of it. She has some type of mystery illness or mystery issue that made her pass out, and she's sick. What else could it be from, Sean? Tell
That's a
us what.
leap.
Tell that was what I don't know. I have no
That's a
idea what's.
leap.
I have no idea what's going on, but it's very strange. And I guess maybe you're right. I don't know, but when I saw that they had a doctor, so to speak, a doctor saying we've run all the tests, we don't know what's wrong with her, but she is not cleared. I was like, now this storyline's a little weird.
We're doing the COVID vax
Well, because when it
storyline.
Well, because when it happened, it was like, oh, they're just reenacting Sean's thing from when
Right.
he passed out. But
Right.
that's not. There wasn't an expert back then that said we don't know what's wrong with him. They just moved on. Now they're keeping it going, so it's a little. Now it got weird. It's like, what the hell's happening?
So let's get to the biggest story of the week as far as WWE programming goes. We know where we're headed for WrestleMania. We're getting the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. So we got 2 weeks to build upon the two of them reuniting on Friday night. Cody Rhodes, Cody was the mediator. He's been mediating that situation. KO, as he's about to leave the arena, Sami stops him, tells him he loves him, all right, and that he's his brother. KO, you can see, is very conflicted as he gets in his car and he drives away. And then at the end of the night, as the Usos are about to, they're going to beat the shit out of Sami, KO shows up. He comes behind them. He takes them both out. And wrestling, man, again, one of those moments. Wrestling. And
Yeah,
KO, and just here's again why the little stuff, the acting has really carried the bloodline storyline where, all right, KO clears the ring. It'd have been one thing for KO to just walk up to Sami and they hug each other, and that'd have been great. But
mm,
instead, he walks up to, he power walks up to Sami, and Sami is taking 1, 2 steps back. He doesn't know what's about to happen. And then KO grabs him in a bear hug. Like Sami taking the 2 steps back because he doesn't know what's about to happen makes the moment for me. It made the moment.
Yeah.
And again, wrestling. Like you get the goosebumps. It still didn't do to me. My favorite moment in years is Sami being accepted by Jey Uso at the end of War Games. That moment, the hug, that embrace right there is my favorite moment in years.
When was War Games again?
November, Survivor Series.
It was November. Okay.
That is my favorite. Oh my God, I loved that moment. But this was pretty close. This was really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just working something out in my head here. Did Sami have a big moment in December? Because this seems like we're getting once a month now, we're getting a very emotional, gigantic Sami Zayn pop, right?
Because we got it in January, of course.
We got Rumble. We got it a couple weeks ago with Jey, when Jey turned on his brother and then he turned back on Sami. But when Jey and Sami hugged, that pop was ridiculous.
It's my favorite moment in years.
Like, no, I'm talking about when Jey hugged Sami on Raw and then turned on
Raw. You're talking about a few weeks ago. Okay, yes.
Yeah, a few weeks ago when Jey hugged Sami and then turned on him.
Yeah.
That might have even been louder than when KO and Sami hugged. But then, so every month we're getting like this Sami Zayn, what's going to happen pop. And I'm wondering, how long can they keep it going? Like, how many times can what's going to happen with Sami? And then in the end, it works out for Sami, or doesn't work out, I guess, with the Jey thing.
Can I ask you something here?
Massive pop, because it's fun. It's fun. And by the way, I was thinking about it when you were talking about Liz and Macho Man. Just like, wrestling fans love a good embrace.
Yep.
Wrestling fans love a good embrace. You get a long time away and then a nice embrace.
Yep.
We get a good pop.
Can I ask you something? Do we believe, does Jey Uso have an ulterior motive still? I think we both agree that because we still haven't had Jey and Roman in a room together. And that's going to be a thing. And I do ultimately believe we're going to end with Jey and Roman in some fashion. I hope so. But I think we both agree Jey is back in the bloodline because he wanted to protect his brother. He pretty much said as much. But do we believe that there's an ulterior motive where maybe Jey is not quite against Sami? Do you think there's still something
there's possible there? Yeah.
Because, and I don't normally fall into this trap, but I saw some of it on Twitter where people seem to think that when Jey and Sami embraced, that Jey said something to Sami in his ear before he super kicked him. And that maybe he said something like, yo, you got to trust me, something like that. And right, I wonder what your thoughts are there, because I think it's pretty far-fetched. I don't think I think he went back to Jimmy, because he's afraid of Roman and what Roman's going to do to his brother. But I think he's totally out on Sami. And my evidence to that would be your grander plan, if you're Jey Uso, can't also involve potentially losing the tag team championship, which is what very well might happen. So I think that theory, that conspiracy theory, is a little too involved.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely, to your point, I think Jey certainly has a plan later on for Roman, but I don't think it has anything to do with Sami. And I would go as far as to say that whatever he said in his ear in that moment was now there's two things that I think that could be. Maybe Sami didn't know it was going to happen, and Jey told him in that moment. Like I'm talking about, like, maybe it up until that moment, because you know how we talk about this in wrestling. Sometimes the wrestlers don't know what's going to happen until it happens. Like, historically, we know.
Oh, you just mean in actuality? Hey, you're about watch for the kick.
Yeah, yeah. Like, one of the most famous ones, Hogan talks about it all the time. He didn't know if Andre was going to let him go over at WrestleMania 3, right?
And they called,
drop the leg, right? Like, he didn't know. Maybe it's possible Sami didn't know, and then Jey hugged him and said super kick or something like that. Or he knew it was going to happen but didn't know how it was going to happen. And then when he hugged him, he's like, all right, kick's coming. Something like that. Like and he just didn't hide it well, or people caught it. But I think that's more likely than
Me too.
Like they're going to go back and have another tribal court where it's like, Jay, what did you say here?
I think while I think that, there's so many subtle things that happen and most things are done on purpose, I don't think everything means something.
Yeah. Well, I get why people think that, because in this storyline, it seems like everything has meant something. But this one, I think you're right, is probably probably a step too far. But who knows? Maybe it would be amazing if 6 months from now, Heyman's like, what happened in this moment?
KO and Sami WrestleMania is going to be great. So let's take this now into something that we had a conversation about last week.
Sure.
I have felt, I would say clearly we're getting that on night 1 because we're getting the other Bloodline story on night 2, main eventing. Okay. I have felt that we're getting the Usos versus KO and Sami to close night 1, because if KO and Sami are going to win, that's a great way to end the night. That's a great way to send the people home happy. That's a great visual to end WrestleMania. But now you've had the rumors this week that Charlotte and Rhea are going to main event night 1, which is what we thought the other possibility would be. And in theory, I have no problem with Charlotte and Rhea main eventing night 1. But the thing is, if Rhea's going to win, which I think most of us believe that she is, as much as people do like Rhea, she is a heel. And they built her as a monster heel. And so she's going to end night number 1 holding the belt, and everyone's going to be cheering. That's not the imagery that WWE wants when Rhea wins. They don't want everyone to be cheering. So assuming that she gets the heel reaction they're hoping for, that's how they're going to end night number 1. I think it's a little bit of a mistake.
Yeah. Well, did you see the Meltzer thing?
No.
Meltzer said on his last show that it's for political reasons.
Because it's Charlotte.
Potentially.
Or is it because they want women?
They I don't think they had a women's main event last year. So I think they want to have a women's main event. But I will say this. It hasn't been announced, but I don't know if you noticed. First of all, Wade Barrett said it on SmackDown. I don't know if you noticed that. Wade Barrett said she's main eventing WrestleMania.
Well, you don't think he means that in the fact that there's several main events, and if you win the Royal Rumble, you're in the main event of WrestleMania?
That's possible. But then also on Raw, I don't know if you saw, there was one of those Hollywood commercials where they and Rhea was in one of them.
Yeah,
and she was in. Yeah. Was that what it was? Stranger? Yeah. I couldn't place it. And Cena's doing the voice, right? And he goes, "Is the pressure of WrestleMania? Is the pressure of main eventing WrestleMania getting to you?"
I don't think it's a tell. I think it's just about.
When I heard that, I was like, "Oh, okay." I guess. Maybe.
I think it means there's several main events every year at WrestleMania. But
but
is there any way? By the way, I loved the segment with Rhea and Charlotte.
It was so needed. It was so needed.
I loved it.
Can I be honest? I was starting to get real down on this build. I was starting to get and part of it I think is because the first interaction. Remember, the first interaction between these two was Dom, and Dom was interacting with Charlotte. And I'm like, okay, now this is fun. Now this is a way to get people to hate Rhea. And then they kind of
it's a way to build Charlotte into the babyface. Because I overall look, I love her. I think she's the greatest female wrestler ever, but I think she kind of stinks as a babyface. Yeah. But that's a good way to build her up in that fashion.
But their verbal interactions since then have been pretty underwhelming to me.
Someone pointed that out to me on Twitter too. I'm not feeling it, and I said to him, I go, listen, we got 3 more SmackDowns until WrestleMania. They're gonna be just fine. Yeah. Well, 2 nights ago. And then 2 more weeks.
Oh, you're saying when you said that?
Yeah, this was a couple days ago. Someone said to me, I'm like, listen, we got 3 more SmackDowns. They're going to be just fine.
I think in your scenario where she's getting booed, in one of these next couple, they need to have her beat the dog shit out of Charlotte. They need to do something where she is the biggest, dirty though. Not even chairs and kendo sticks and tables, and they need to build some sympathy for Charlotte.
Maybe they do it next week and we don't see Charlotte again till WrestleMania.
Maybe they need to build some type of sympathy because Rhea is a badass and she should be a monster heel, but she is so good and people do like her so much. And she's just like this pro, even before the segment, or even before their brawl this week, which I thought really starts to elevate this.
It was a
build.
real good brawl.
Her promo, I didn't like her promo though. I need to win the title. No, you don't need to win the title. You just need to be a badass. Like if you're going to make her into this scary heel who can beat the greatest ever, it shouldn't be about like how badly she needs to win the title. It should just be about how badly I need to be popular. Or what did she say? I need to be
feared? Something
no,
like that.
It wasn't feared. It was like I need to be a big deal or something. I don't know. It was basically essentially saying like, I need to be a star is what she said. Like, why? Why do you need to be you're a heel? You're a heel.
Tell you good way for her.
Why does the heel, or unless it's a double turn at Mania or of some sort?
Nah, I hope not. But a good way though to continue building that heat. You got to bring Rick into the equation. You talk shit about Rick.
Oh, or she beats the shit out of Rick.
Yeah. Bring Rick into the equation. That's a good way.
It's always a good way.
Good way to build it. Nobody's gonna like that. That's a good way. If you get Rick involved,
they got to do something. They got to do something because right now she's not heelish enough to, like you said, be booed at the end of winning that match. Like right now, people are going to. If this match was this weekend and she wins, they're cheering.
They're gonna love it. Right.
So they got 2 weeks to do something to make her into the absolute, like not just a badass because she is a badass, a heel, like a true. She's got to do something crazy, and maybe Flair is the way.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Brock and Omos. What did you make? What did you make?
I love it. I love everything about it.
I'm glad you said that, man. I'm glad you said that because I really think so many of us are, and I say us, I just mean wrestling fans. We're too quick to look at it like, oh, Omos sucks. This match.
I did the same thing. I did it too, but I love it.
Nobody wants it, and it's like, can we give it a chance? Can we give it a chance? And Brock, by the way, is magic. So if Brock is invested in it, can we trust that Brock? If you want to believe the reports that Brock refused to work with Bray Wyatt, but he chose Omos instead, can we give Brock a little bit of credit that maybe this is something that he's invested in? Okay, fine. And I saw this a couple of days ago because I wouldn't say that I've been in on Brock and Omos from the get-go, but I've been willing to give it a chance from the get-go for sure. And I saw this a couple of days ago where Undertaker was quoted talking about Omos. Loves him.
Yeah.
Loves him. And I'm like,
he said he needs to be booked as an attraction.
And I'm like, you know what? If the goddamn Undertaker is telling you he likes Omos and he thinks this is going to wind up heading in a good direction, can we trust the Undertaker's opinion for a second? Can we give it a chance?
I actually don't think Omos is bad. And I actually, for a guy his size, he moves well in the ring. He's not terrible for a guy his size. I just think until now, when Vince was in charge, he was booked terribly. And people... He became like a joke. Like he was just another big guy that Vince was throwing in our face. I do think he's pretty good. And on the Brock thing, I think, like you said, we were all very quick to be like, oh, this almost sucks. But I also think it was like the thing that wrestling fans, including myself, do where it's like Brock's too important to have a match like this. Well, it's wrestling. They make it as important or not important as they want.
Like you're nuts if you don't think Brock's going to make this a good match. You're nuts.
Well, and to your point, Brock is so damn good at everything he does. And by the way, like I've said this current version of his character is my favorite that he's ever had.
Cowboy Brock?
Cowboy Brock is my favorite Brock Lesnar character, which I guess is really the second version that we've ever had.
No, there's been three. There's the next big deal. There's the next big thing, the Beast Incarnate, and now Cowboy Brock.
Yeah, right. Cowboy Brock is my absolute favorite. And yeah. I love it. I love everything about it. I know there was some.
How about the size difference between the two of them? Holy shit.
How about the shot that they do when Omos comes out with MVP behind him and they shoot it from the bottom up?
Of course.
So you see how much bigger Omos is than MVP.
Right.
It's jarring. Yeah. It is a crazy shot. But yeah, he is. I want to see him take the German suplex. I'm not even worried about the F5. I want to see him take the German.
Yeah, the whole part of the attraction is, can Brock get him up? I think it's going to be cool. I'm into it, man.
Yeah, and it won't be long. It's not going to waste a ton of time.
That's a 5-minute match. I'm good with it. It's a 5-minute match.
It'll be good. And Brock will sell the hell out of whatever Omos does to him because that's what Brock does. He's so good for all the things people don't get credit for. I mean, he does not get probably nearly enough credit for how well he sells his matches. Sells the bumps that people give him in his matches. He's always been great with that.
We got Edge and Finn Balor, Hell in a Cell. I think that's exactly what Triple H wanted when he got rid of the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Hell in a Cell should be used for special attractions. So he's bringing it back here at WrestleMania. That's certainly a blow-off match. I think the question is, though, because Finn Balor, he gave the hint, are we getting the demon?
I've been to hell and it couldn't handle my demons.
I think we're getting the demon.
Yeah, I think that's got to be what that meant, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be. It's got to be. Now, the question that was posed to me is, do we get Brood Edge to go up against Demon Finn? Or is that too gimmicky?
No, I don't think it's too... It's WrestleMania. I don't think it's too gimmicky at all.
Yeah.
I don't
Finn
think so
comes out as the demon, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, this is crazy!" And then Edge comes up from the thing.
And Edge did do that, by the way. I forget what
match
he did it was.
Yeah, he did it a while back. Yeah,
but a couple years ago. Yeah, I hope that's what they do. I hope so.
That'd be cool.
Shout out to Gangrel. Shout out to Gangrel, CCW.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun match and good. And then it'll be done, and they can both move on. That I'm good with that.
Finally, one more from WWE here before we get to Dynamite. So we got a 3-way. Which I think is going to be a show-stealing kind of match. Gunther, we were wondering, all right, you got to find a way to make it a 3-way. You got McIntyre and Sheamus with the dual pins last week, and now this week they're going to fight one-on-one. You end up being like, what was it, a no contest where they both knocked out? Was that what it ended up being?
This week, I think it was about to be, and then didn't Gunther send the other guys down?
Yeah. And so now we got a 3-way, even though Adam Pearce is derelict of his duties, and so we have a 3-way, which is just a lock to be a match of the night candidate. It's going to be so good. I'm very into this match. Very into it.
Yeah, I don't really have a ton to add, just because we knew this. The question wasn't whether we were getting this; it was how were they going to do it with this.
There are so many different ways too that they can go. They could keep the belt on Gunther and continue this streak and this prestigious Intercontinental title. They could give the belt to Sheamus and he has that huge WrestleMania moment. He completes the Grand Slam. They could put the belt on McIntyre and then, okay, Gunther, he winds up moving on to maybe challenging Cody if that's the way they go. And you keep Drew and Sheamus going because Sheamus is angry. You know I wanted this and you took it. I mean, you could see any of the 3 guys winning this match and go any direction.
I agree. I wouldn't be overly shocked if Gunther moves on. But also, he could keep the Intercontinental title for 10 years as far as I'm concerned. He's so good in this role. And it's been I think it's, there's been guys who come along and it's like, oh, they're a really good Intercontinental run and this and that. But I think he's so good and he's such a star that if you want to keep that belt important, maybe you do keep it on him for years and just you make it as big as even the world title in some respects, because it becomes what it once was, which was the workers title. Like he's the ring general. And no one can beat him because he is the best worker. And maybe you go that way.
He had that NXT UK title for 2 years, 2.5
And that was when he was still fat.
Yeah. Amazing.
That was when he was still a fat guy. Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to Dynamite, which I was looking forward to all week. What the hell is a rebar mitzvah? So for folks who are listening, both me and Joey are both Jewish. All right. And I'm so excited for what they're going to do here, and I don't know what it is. And we're starting the show with the rebar mitzvah, and my older son says to me, he goes, are they going to do the hora? And then all of a sudden, you got the hora music that pops off. But before that, you notice, so not only is MJF wearing a yarmulke, but instead of the scarf, he's wearing talit. So he's got he's in
Did you also see they showed backstage footage? He did the whole thing.
Rapping tefillin before the show backstage. I mean, you've never seen more Judaism on a professional wrestling broadcast. It was
maybe on
outrageous.
national television. Maybe on national television.
Certainly on live national television. It was outrageous. And this segment, as good, as fun as you hoped it would be, it was, and even better. I thought it was fantastic. It was silly, obviously, and I you didn't know what to expect with it. And I loved every second of it, which of course then culminates in, by the way, my 11-year-old cannot stop repeating the line that MJF lost his V card at his bar mitzvah. He cannot give that up. And he asked me yesterday if I think he'll lose his V card at his bar mitzvah. I say probably not. But then you get what ends up being a silly, really fun segment, the Re-Bar Mitzvah, gets interrupted by, the three other pillars of AEW. I thought this segment, Joey, was awesome.
I thought it was great. I will be interested just as we move forward, how many times you're going to use, y'all got me Meshuggah up in this bitch.
Oh my God. It was so good.
I was like, what
is
happening? This program is going to be awesome. The matches are going to be great. Actually, my biggest takeaway from the one after the bar mitzvah, which was absurd and just still crazy that took place on live television.
Crazy.
My biggest takeaway from the four of them in the ring was Darby Allin not being terrible talking. Like, he's not a bad speaker. And I thought some of the things he said were pretty interesting about guys in the back not wanting to be here, and this is the only place for me. And I think a lot of people think that was in reference to MJF and the bidding war of 2024, but I think he was taking shots at backstage from what I would read. Like, I think he was taking some shots there, but
I think Darby's the next challenger.
I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a 4-way match.
Oh, they're not going to do like a 3-way and the winner, gets MJF?
I guess that could happen too.
So that's what they do. I think it's Darby.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Although they have been the entire thing with Jungle Boy this year has been, I'm winning a title this year.
And he's shifting more to being Jack Perry than Jungle Boy.
Yeah.
How about Sammy Guevara? Sammy Guevara was cutting. That was babyface promo. Sammy Guevara was cutting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And I thought it was really interesting the way he said, I was brought into the inner circle the guy who does the crazy stuff, takes Jericho's bump guy. And I thought it was interesting that he even named Jericho in that, which, he's not great on the mic, but he did a pretty good job. I mean, I honestly, the three of them now, every time MJF talks, it's like, this guy's just in another class from these other three, not as a wrestler, just as a speaker. Like, they all do their parts, and then he jumps on. And you're like, okay, well, this is why this guy is the top guy in wrestling right now.
It was cool though when he said, "What do you got? What do you all want?" And then at the same time, they all say, "I want a title shot."
Yeah, no, it was very good. I think we're gonna get a bunch of, and it's, what else is good about it is they only have the 4 pay-per-views. There's a long time till I think the next one is All Out, right? I'm not positive. There's a long time, but there's so many different variations of matches you can go now with this to figure out what's going to happen, right? You have all the different singles matches. You could do tag matches, because I do think in the end, Sami was more heelish. He was cutting a babyface promo, but I think he attacked Darby, or Jungle Boy. So I think Sami will still be the heel. So you could do MJF and Sami versus the faces. You can do all different types of singles matches. So you have a lot that can get you to whatever the next title match is at the next pay-per-view. So it's good. It's not one of these things where, like, we have to watch Daniel Bryan fight for 3 months and the same match over and over leading up to MJF. Like, now we have options here, which is fun.
So what the only thing that, you can make the case could have topped that came at the end of the show. So House of Black was awesome. I'm just there. They're so good. So that match was awesome. They're kicking the shit out of everybody, but overshadowed a little bit by the image at the end of the night. All right. So Blackpool Combat Club, a bunch of assholes. These Blackpool Combat Club guys are
such
assholes, man. So they're ganging up on they're about to go after Hangman, and who's got Hangman's back? Who comes up right behind him is the Elite. And now you got a stare down between Blackpool Combat Club and the Elite, who have Hangman's back. That shit was cool.
It was great. But I'm trying not to be negative because I love where this is all headed. They totally blew the timing on the end. They totally blew the timing. We didn't get they went to black before Hangman turned around. We didn't get the moment where Hangman realizes that his friends had his back. We didn't get that moment. Like, that's the moment. Like, it's very cool that they were there, but also Hangman, we went off the air with Hangman being like, come on. And then he's like about to turn, and then they go to black because of timing. We didn't get the moment.
It's interesting that you say that, because I'll let you behind the curtain here for a second. I didn't even get to notice that because I'm not watching it live. I'm watching it on my DVR, and the DVR cut off at that moment. It says, do you want to delete? Yes or no? So I didn't get, like, I figured, all right, there must be like another minute that I'm not getting. So I didn't even get to notice what you're noticing right now.
Yeah. I look, I thought the whole thing was good. They really blew the timing on that, because that was the moment. You need, like, because now you're going into next week. Does Hangman and Page even know that they're there? How did it turn out? You needed that moment where he turns around and he's conflicted, because that's his whole thing, right? He's the conflicted emotional cowboy. Like, you need the moment where he turns around and he sees that his friends are there, and it's like, am I with them or am I with them? But we didn't really get it, which, they'll figure it out. It's great. And I'm I'll be really interested to see where this all heads next.
Lastly, here on Dynamite, is Taya Valkyrie the one who ends the streak?
I don't think so, but it'll be I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun.
I hope not. I mean, look, Taya Valkyrie is a good name. It's not terrible if she's the one that ends it, but I hope not.
Yeah. I don't think she will, but she's really good. And also, face to face, she's almost as big as Jade Cargill. She's a big girl.
Yeah.
So it'll be good matches, and it's just fun to see Jade Cargill finally, like, she's gonna have a program against, like, a legit wrestler, not a bunch of indie, like, squash matches. So that was what made me excited. I thought it was cool. It was very clear when she came out to the ring to fight some random jobber that something more was going to happen, right? And, like, immediately,
I was wondering, like, this is the Canadian wrestler. Like, we're actually getting the local independent Canadian wrestler is the one that's facing her.
Immediately, I was like, there's no way they made a big deal about the Canadian Open Challenge, right?
Yeah.
But no, this will be a good one, but I don't think she's the one. Can I point out one thing? Can I ask you one question here?
Yeah.
And then we'll do Big Dirt.
I want to get some corrections before that.
But gotcha. The Outcasts, who I hate, I think everyone hates.
Well, but that's okay.
Which is actually, I guess, what the whole point is,
man,
right? So they attacked. They were in the ring. Hayter and Britt come out. They beat them up. Willow Nightingale, Sky Blue, and Riho come out for the save, right? So there's 5 homegrowns. There's 3 Outcasts. The Bellas are officially out of WWE now. We saw all this stuff.
They're not Bella anymore. They're back. They're now Garcia.
Could they come in to AEW to be Outcasts? Would that be weird for them to be Outcasts? That would be massive.
Oh, no, it wouldn't be weird because the crowd would hate them, and that's exactly what you're going for.
Yeah, but by the way, I would make the argument that if they showed up in AEW, it'd be bigger than basically anybody who's shown up in AEW so far.
Including men?
Including men. The crossover, they're bigger stars than all the
Punk showed up at AEW.
Yeah, but CM Punk doesn't have television shows on E. Like, they're not at he's not the Nickelodeon Choice Awards.
You mean from a mainstream perspective?
I just mean from eyeballs. Like, it would be huge for them to leave, and they're WWE Hall of Famers. I mean,
gotcha.
It would be. I mean, CM Punk was a big moment for the wrestling world. I just mean if they showed up in AEW, whoa, man, that would be a huge coup for them, I think.
Let me give you some stat corrections here from our man Victor. Our man Victor Boredo, he's a great listener. He sends in stat corrections for us. Number one, the first thing I want to say is shout out to Victor. He's in a tough spot right now. He sent me a message a couple days ago. He had to put down his dog yesterday. All right.
Sorry.
And that's obviously, if you've ever been through that, there's nothing you could say to anybody that's going to make them feel better. It's the worst. It's a terrible, terrible thing you have to do. And so shout out to Victor. Feel really terrible about that. There's nothing really otherwise to say, but we're thinking about you, pal. All right. So let's give a couple of corrections here that he sent in. How about Chad Gable's match against Baron Corbin last week is his first win, tag or single, since November 21 of 2022, when he beat Matt Riddle on Raw. That was a losing streak of 25 matches in a row. See, Kurt Hawkins, including the Royal Rumble and tag matches. Before that, he lost 12 in a row, singles, tag team, and 6-man matches in 22. He's 4-46 in 2023. He's 1-12. Matches include everything, a triple threat rumble, any kinds of matches.
Company guy. He's a company guy.
Victor also wants to add, we were talking about Falls Count Anywhere matches, I think with Wardlow and Powerhouse, where a Falls Count Anywhere match means just that. A street fight can still be required to have the pinfall in the ring. They've done that in the past. So there you go. He did tell us MJF is indeed 27 years old this week. We were wondering, is 26 a rebar mitzvah, like double 13? No, he was 27 this week. He's given a correction to me here. NXT is filmed at the Performance Center, Zaz, not the Capital One Center. What the hell? No, what? You're right about that. Now, I definitely got the name wrong. It's not called Capital One Center, but when they film NXT, it is called like the Capital Wrestling Center. There is a name.
Yeah, they call it something. They named it.
I think it might be the Capital Wrestling Center. So I think you got Victor. You looked that up. I am right about that. Yes, I know it's the Performance Center, but it has a name. I think it's called Capital Wrestling Center. And finally here, last Gable Steveson appearance at WrestleMania 38 Night 2 when he confronted Chad Gable and then he suplexes him. That's it. Won the gold medal in the 20 Summer Olympic Games in Tokyo. So the only in-ring interaction he's ever had was that right there with Chad Gable. Gable Steveson, he thinks. So anyway, that right there is, those are some corrections from our guy Victor.
He missed one correction because I listened back to the show last week and I called the Judgment Day the Bloodline again. I can't stop doing it.
Yeah,
I did it again.
Well, I didn't think he wanted to correct you again because he's mad at you about that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't, for some reason, I can't stop calling the Judgment Day the Bloodline. I don't know.
All right, let's do some big dirt, not big dirt here. We got a few more minutes. Let's go.
All right, first one. So Jade Cargill is not the only one in AEW with a big winning streak right now. And we love House of Black, right? Apparently, Julia Hart of House of Black, who we didn't even know wrestles, has a 19-fight win streak right now. She's won 19 in a row. I watched her match this week on Dark. She's pretty damn good. Big dirt, not big dirt.
I'm going to go big dirt. I would like to see Julia Hart in the ring. I have not watched that. I haven't seen any of her matches on Dark. I'm interested in what that looks like. Let's go big dirt.
By the way, shout out to this tag team on AEW Dark called the Outrunners. Truth Magnum and Turbo Floyd, okay? They are the Speedboat Dreamboats is what one of them called them. They're like this 80s wrestling tag team. Truth Magnum and Turbo Floyd, check them out. They're unreal. They're all elite. All right. There are rumors that LA Knight could get that, you know how now Stone Cold's really, there's like the Stone Cold moment. Like just comes out and he interacts with somebody. Rumors are that LA Knight could get the Stone Cold moment at Mania. Big dirt, not big dirt. LA Knight.
That's big dirt. I'm going big dirt. Yeah, anything that LA Knight's involved with, I'm in on, obviously. And if Stone Cold can be involved in any capacity, I don't need to see him wrestle again. Like, I feel like we got it last year, and it was as good as I hoped it would be, probably better. So I don't need to see it again, but I do want Stone Cold moments, so I'll go big dirt.
All right. Saraya, who we just talked briefly about, apparently was real life fined for her promo for saying twat in her promo, and apparently for also, which we've talked about, her whole gimmick is flicking people off. Apparently part of the fine was for flicking people off without telling the booking agent that she was gonna flick people off. Big dirt, not big dirt.
I'm going not big dirt. I obviously like that kind of stuff. It gets her good kind of heat with the crowd, but I guess we're not going to see it very much anymore. So I'll go not big dirt.
And then lastly, we talked about this at the beginning, Batista will not be inducted into the Hall of Fame this year.
Right. Because
the likely reason being given is that he is filming the sequel to the movie My Spy, which I definitely know is a movie, in South Africa. Big dirt, not big dirt. Batista
I'll go not big
dirt. Because of My Spy.
I'm going to go not big dirt. I mean, he could literally go into the Hall of Fame any year. It's whenever he's got the time, that's when they're going to do it. I don't think he's someone who's going to... I don't think we're going to talk about him in 20 years like we do Demolition. Where's Batista? How is he not in the Hall of Fame? So I'm going not big dirt. There you go, man. Hey, everyone, make sure you vote. Go to my Twitter, @Zaslow Show. We're going to post the second round matchup starting tomorrow. You're going to be able to vote for the next few days. Make sure you like, you rate, you comment, you do all that good stuff. However, you're listening to Zaslow Show 2.0. Of course, we are a Blue Wire podcast. It's still real to me. Joey, tell your fans you'll talk to them next week.
We'll see you next week. Go vote. Go vote. Go vote.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you next week on another edition of It's Still Real to Me. Thanks, everyone.